Everyone, I'm Lily. I'm 7. Today I'm going to read a story. This story is The Legend of John Henry. John Henry was born into a slave family. When he was just a boy, he had to do the work of a full-grown man. He grew so fast that sometimes the pants he put on in the morning were too short by the nightfall. Soon he was the biggest man around and the strongest too. When the Civil War ended, the slaves became free, but life was still hard. John Henry needed to find a job. Who will hire me? He wondered. John Henry lived before there were cars or airplanes. Railroad companies were hiring workers to build tracks all across America. The work was hard and dangerous, but John Henry was brave and strong. So, like many other black men who had once been slaves, he went to work on the railroad. John Henry became a steel driver, a hammerman. Every day, he swung his 20-pound hammer over and over again. Another man would hold a drill bit against a rock, then John Henry would hit the end of the drill bit with his hammer. He broke up rocks and dug tunnels to hills to make a path for the track. The other workers liked John Henry. He worked harder and faster than any three men. John Henry had a deep, booming voice, and the other men enjoyed singing work songs with him. One day the railroad tracks ran smack into a Big Bend mountain. Big Bend was so huge that the railroad couldn't be fit around it. A tunnel would have to be through the mountains instead. Don't worry, John Henry said. That old mountains, just a big rock, and smashing through the rock is what I do. The men worked fast, and John Henry worked faster of all. The hammer away at Big Bend Mountain, but their boss wasn't happy because he wanted the tunnel finished faster. The boss said he would fire the man if the tunnel wasn't done on time. One day, a little man in a fancy suit arrived at the work camp. He was selling a steam-powered machine that could drill through rock. His machine was the size of a locomotive, and it spit fire and smoke into the air. My machine can grow faster than any other worker, the salesman told the boss. Most of the men looked down and shook their head. They feared he was right, but John Henry spoke up. That machine can't beat me, he roared. The other men raised their heads and cheered. Everyone came running to watch the contest. John Henry stood tall in front of Big Bend Mountain. He gripped a hammer in his mighty hand. The salesman pulled the lever on his machine, and it made an awful noise. When my machine wins, you want to buy. It will replace all these people, he yelled to the boss. John Henry knew he had to beat the machine. If the machine won, the boss would fire the man and use the machine to drill through Big Bend Mountain. But if John Henry won, the boss wouldn't win with the machine. He'd keep paying the man. For the first time in his life, John Henry looked kind of small. Or maybe the machine just looked big, but he didn't scare. But that didn't scare John Henry. Woo! This whistle blew and the contest began. John Henry groaned as he swung his hammer into the rock. He heard the machine groan too. "A man is better than a machine," he said under his breath. John Henry swung his hammer as quick as lightning. He put all his strength into breaking through the rock. He pushed ahead of the machine and didn't look back. Woo! The whistle blew again. The contest was over. John Henry had hammered through almost twice as much rock as the machine. John Henry won. But the contest was too much for John Henry. He was too strong, even for his own heart. While the man was still cheering, he sat down against a rock and died. But he died happy with his hammer in his hand. The other workers were sad to lose John Henry, but they were also proud of him for saving the job. From that day on, they sang a new song as the worker. It was a song about John Henry, the steel driving man. What is John Henry best known for? I sing a song while building a railroad after the Civil War, beating a steam-powered machine with his own strength. See, growing up as a slave. See, growing fast when he was a boy. I should speak. Why did John Henry agree to rise against the digging machine? A. He wanted to save the workers' job. B. He wanted to win the machine as a prize. C. He liked to show off. D. He wanted to be paid more. If a boss is going to fire a person, he or she is going to be like a match. B. Pay them more money. C. Give them a job. D. End the job. Answer C. Which sentence shows that this story is a fantasy? B. John Henry was born into a slave family. B. He grew so fast that sometimes the pants he put on in the morning were too short by nightfall. C. John Henry lived before they were called airplanes. D. Then one day a little man in a fancy suit arrived at the camp. I should be. When did John Henry go to work for the railroad? A. After the little man came to the work camp. B. Before he became the biggest and strongest man around. C. After the truck ran into Big Bend Mountain. D. After the Civil War ended. I should see. When writing a tall tale, the upper purpose is A. To inform, B. To entertain, C. To persuade, D. To explain the process. I should see. A steel driver job is to A. Hammer drill bits into a rock to break the rock up. B. A dryer machine made of steel. C. Find steel inside of rocks. D. None of the above. I choose A. Why did the other railroad worker like John Henry? A. He worked faster than any hard and faster than any three workers. B. He had a booming voice and enjoyed singing. C. He helped save the job. D. All the above. I choose C. Which of the following is an opinion? A. John Henry should not have a race against the machine. B. John Henry was born a slave. C. John Henry became a steel driver. D. John Henry went to work for the railroad. I choose B. Why could the little man machine have been a solution to the boss problem? A. The boss wants to fire all the railroad workers. B. The boss wants to save a contest. C. The boss wanted the tunnel finished even faster. D. All the above. I should see.
Close. Click on the item.
I got 7 or 10 correct. The end. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.